If you're a speech language pathologist, today's episode is simply for you. Do not go anywhere. You need to hear this episode because we are going to talk about executive function. And executive function is something that is probably a challenge for most every child on your caseload. And the reason for that is because research indicates that even children with speech sound distortions, mild to severe, are more likely to have executive function challenges. Children with developmental language delays, more likely to have difficulty with executive function. Children with autism, children with ADD, children with developmental delays, more likely to have difficulties with executive function. So essentially, every single child on your caseload is more likely to have difficulty with executive function. We want to create educationally rich activities that target executive function. If you are not targeting executive function, you are not creating lifelong change. So this is why task-oriented movement activities are so important, not just for the children with autism, but for every single child on your caseload. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through a very simple 4-step process that I created with my wonderful team of graduate students that helped me along the way. And this process is going to help you address executive function within your sessions. Now, you can learn more from my textbook, Speech Sound Disorders. And here you're going to see 100 video clips. You're going to see how it's embedded within the therapy sessions, the 4 steps I'm going to show you today. You're going to see the cues there. Also in the SIS membership, every one of the task-oriented movement activities, we have 2 every week. That's all about improving executive function. So today I'm going to walk you through one and show you how that is done. This week in the SIS membership, we have the very hungry caterpillar. If you live on the planet Earth, I know you know of the story, The Very Hungry Caterpillar. If you don't, it's a story about a very hungry caterpillar. I'm going to walk you through the 4 steps that children have difficulty with in executive function and how we're going to explicitly target these steps within our speech language therapy sessions. First, we're going to identify the problem. So many children with executive function difficulties, they have a messy desk, for instance. It's overflowing all over onto the floor and everywhere around them. They don't even see a problem. Okay, what is the problem? They just look blankly at you. There is no problem. So identifying the problem is a skill that we're going to want to develop. What I like to do is tap my 2 pointer fingers together and say, problem. So the problem is we have a very hungry caterpillar who wants some food. What is going to be our plan? Our plan, with the plan, I like to make like a goalpost for football plan. Our plan is we're going to feed the very hungry caterpillar. So now we're going to do action. How are we going to do that? We're going to take the food, but then we're going to cross the bridge. And next, we're going to feed the hungry caterpillar. That's the action. When I do action, I roll my arms forward, like row, row, row your boat. You can see this on YouTube if you really want some clarification. Whatever cue you decide to use, that's up to you. So you can see already kids that break down, like, okay, I can see my desk is really, really messy, but now I don't know how to fix it. So by telling them, okay, we have a plan, we're going to get it organized. And they're like, all right, let's get it organized. Then we're going to say, okay, we're going to take action. We're going to put things that are alike together. So let's put all of our crayons together. Let's put all of our papers together. Let's put all of our erasers together. Let's put all of our toys together. We're going to take action and then we're going to put them all in their own spot. They all have their own spot where they belong. Then, so you can see kids, you can imagine that kid in front of that dirty desk that doesn't know how to get that desk clean. You're saying, okay, we got to get it clean. How are we going to do that? This is the how, it's the action. Finally, a lot of the kids, they'll get started on it. Then they see something. It's almost like if you give a mouse a cookie and it takes their attention and then they're off. Oh, the child went off to recess. They did not finish cleaning up their desk. So that's why the next step is so important. We're going to check it to completion. Here, I like to make a check mark. Check. Check it to completion. It's always multimodally when we're learning. We want the child to be doing the check mark, we're doing the check mark, because we're going to learn more quickly and we're going to remember it if we do it multimodally. If we learn it through multiple modes, using our body, using the words, using the visuals, acting it out. So I'm going to go and feed them the apple on Monday. I'm going to come back, I'm going to write the number 1. So we gave them 1 apple on Monday. Then the next time we have to feed them the 2 pears. Once again, what is the problem? The problem is we have a very hungry caterpillar. Okay, so what is our plan? Our plan is we're going to feed that caterpillar. Okay, so what actions are we going to take? The action is we're going to take the pears, cross the bridge, and give them to the caterpillar. Okay, then how are we going to check it? We're going to check our checklist to make sure we finish it. Now, when we do that, you can see there's 7 days in the week that we're going to go through. We're going to go into the day 7 when they eat a green leaf because they have a stomach ache and they feel much better, the caterpillar. Now, what's important to remember is that by the time you get to 7, guess what? You can stop talking. You're doing the cueing, tap, tap, and the child's saying problem. The child's saying plan. The child's saying action. The child's saying check. The child is saying the words of the process. The child is becoming the teacher. You are passing that baton onto that child, and you are the student. So that is how you develop an internal locus of control within the task-oriented movement activities, is that on the first one, you have a maximum of prompts. You guys are saying the words together. You're doing the actions together. You're holding the child. You're a pair. Then over time, you fade out your support and the child's doing it by themselves. This is how that automaticity is going to develop. This is the child doing the word retrieval by themselves, the child doing the motor planning, the motor programming, the execution, and taking it to completion all by themselves. And that's going to happen using a maximum level of prompting the first time you feed the caterpillar to a minimal or no prompting by the time you get to the green leaf, the 7th time you feed the caterpillar. So you're probably wondering, where's the speech and language targets in all of this? With the speech and language targets, what I do, I'm just going to show you here. If you see on YouTube, these are my latest from 2025 that I revised for my SIS members. And for the cues is I have speech and language targets from the sentence to the paragraph level. We're going to say our speech paragraph. We're going to say our language paragraph. Then we get the 3 plums. Then after that, we go through the steps. So we insert that before the child receives the food to give the caterpillar as we read the story. Now, another thing you could do is if you have the storybook right there, is you can read the paragraph. Then after you read the speech or the language paragraph, after that, you read the page of the story. On Monday, he ate through 1 apple, but he was still hungry. Then you go through the steps, grab the apple, cross the bridge, feed the caterpillar, come back, and write the number for number 1 for the apple. And then you do it again and again. Each time that you're doing it, you're doing the speech or language paragraph. Now, last week we talked about the paragraph. Why the paragraph? Because it improves everything to a cascading impact. We're not just working on speech. We're not just working on language. We're doing an all of the above proposition. And the reason we're doing this, you can kind of think of it like in fitness, this compound movement, this movement that works many different systems, is because you only have 30 to 45 minutes a week. And if you want to create lifelong change, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have educationally rich activities that treat the whole child. Because a communication impairment does not simply exist in the mouth. It impacts every aspect of the child's life. So you need to develop activities that will support every aspect of development. particularly the areas that are going to be impacted by having a communication impairment. And that's why executive function, what we're going to talk about today, is so important. So I want you to take all of this information, and if you haven't joined or tried SIS yet, I'd love to see you at the SIS drawing board. Join SIS for just a month, and then unsubscribe after 1 month and get all of the treatment targets, get all of the paragraphs, roll up your sleeves, get in it, do it, become a richer therapist. You're going to get something out of it. Have to do some educationally rich therapy that treats the whole child. And after a month, if you're like, I don't want this, you just say, I'll just do it for a month. I unsubscribe now. If you want to do it longer, then you can say, hey, I want to go for the yearly membership. Let's transfer over to the year. What would work for children on my back porch? I think not only would it work for the children on your back porch, it's going to work for you. It's going to create incredible gains, and you're never going to see children loving learning more. You're never going to hear more laughter. You're never going to see more sparkling eyes than when you're doing the SIS activities. I'm very proud of them because they truly do create lifelong change and a love for learning. So I want you to take all of this information, roll up your sleeves, and do what you do best. Make the world a better place, one child at a time. You will always be first.